Cancer Book Club for July, I guess, technically now. This will be our last book club before our summer break. We'll resume in September.
Oh.
But what I'd like to do today is I'd like to introduce our guest, who is Matthew Hoarder.
You got it.
And Matthew is the author of one of my great delights, the CancerOwl comics.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'd like to, so welcome, Matthew, for
Thanks.
coming, and I'm so grateful for your presence here. I've been telling Pat about your cartoons for some time now. I'm as you know, a colorectal person as well. I'm a stage 4 now, but when I was curable, I was kind of at your stage, just about about 8 years ago. Anyway,
Right.
so even so, I can totally relate to the things that that happened to the owl, all the things that happened with the ostomy, all the things that happened with the people saying stupid things, all the things that happened with, the brain aspects and emotional aspects that are shared there. So, I guess I wanted to open up by asking you, how did the whole CancerOwl comics get started?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was right in the middle of treatment. It was, for someone of my age, I was 35 when I was diagnosed. And when it happened, one of the first, I went into therapy before I found out I had cancer. I'm a therapist, but I went to therapy for myself because I was just feeling so much stress and strain, and I had bleeding symptoms because of colorectal cancer, although I didn't know it at the time. I'm like, what in the world's going on? So I went and sought therapy, and then I found out I had cancer. So I started therapy, and my therapist had, he was so crucial to me getting through it. And one of the things he recommended was to just start journaling my experiences using art and using what I love to do. And I had always wanted to have a bit of a voice, and I wasn't really sure where to go. And so I kind of waffled between things for a while. And he mentioned that about me just art journaling my experience. And I do art therapy, so art journaling is something I'm familiar with, but I didn't consider it too much for myself. But then he kind of said, but you don't know, it could be something that could turn into something bigger than just for yourself. So just, make sure it's self-care first. And then I thought it was a cool idea, but then time went on, and then after I had my first surgery for my ostomy and I was healing from it, I sat up and started sketching, and then I started sketching the owl because owls are my favorite animal. And I just did a really cheesy, like, give a hoot about cancer or something with the owl, and I thought, there we go, that's it. That's how I want to do this. I want to do it in like a comic style. And I just decided I was going to no holds barred because everything I was feeling at the time was so intense.
Yes.
I was right in the hospital doing it. I was still recovering. I had time because I was taking time off work. So I just did a handful of comics, and I did them for me. I did them a way of how I felt. So I did some things that were gut level and were, stuff that I was kind of afraid to say, but just thought it would be better in picture form. And so I did a small handful of comics. One was kind of inspirational. One was taking a bit of a hard hit at people who tell you they're praying for you, but then when you actually ask for help, they're nowhere to be found. And
yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah. And then I just did comics kind of like that. And then people responded, and the response got pretty big pretty quickly, and I started getting a lot of feedback. People are like, wow, you got to make more of these. These are really good. So then I created, all I was doing was putting them on Facebook and Tumblr and stuff. So I decided to put them on an actual website and set up an actual website. So that took a few months to get a website going, and it just kind of took off from there.
That's a great story. I think everybody relates to how intense the experience and the emotions are when you're going through this.
Yeah.
Did you had surgery, obviously, I'm assuming. Did you also go through chemo or?
2 of them.
2 surgeries?
2 surgeries.
Yes.
And did you have other treatments as well? Radiation, chemotherapy?
Yes, I had chemotherapy. I had both chemotherapy and radiation at the same time.
Concurrently, like I did,
So,
yeah.
you did too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did the Xeloda, which was, the pill form.
Yeah,
And
there's the hand. There's my raw hand.
yeah,
Slow
yeah,
down
yeah.
one now.
Mine have still never fully recovered. I did that in combination with, they had me doing about 4 pills in the morning, 4 pills at night.
Right.
Same days I took radiation right on my behind. And because it was more rectal more than anything and hung pretty low around the anus. So they are actually talking about giving me a permanent ostomy. And, and that was the original recommendation. And they were just talking like that's what's going to happen, because they just didn't have a whole lot of hope for saving the anus.
The sphincter, yeah.
Where it was from. So where it was located. So it was, so I had that. And then luckily everything shrank down enough to where, come to find out, she was using a robot to work on me. They said, oh, we have enough margin to work on to remove the tumor. And all we'll do is give you an ileostomy temporary, just until everything heals. And then we'll reverse it. And then I was like, great. Later on, I found out that margin was 1 millimeter.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Well, you're giving me hope because I've got a temporary ileostomy now and a super, super ultra low resection as well.
Okay.
And so they're saying, 50-50 chance, 50-50 people can't tolerate having a low resection and 50% of people can ultimately tolerate it. It takes a long, long time to get to a new normal that's livable with. But, I've been through an ostomy reversal, so I know how hard it is.
I hate to say this is totally tasteless, but I can say it to this audience there is so much comedy in this. I mean, my God, if you can't laugh, you are going to lose your mind going through this stuff.
Well, that's what I liked about the comics, and I'm hoping that what we could do, Pat, if you could bring up some of Matthew's favorites, and we just sort of walk through them, because we've had other artists on the Cancer Book Club, and that's been a popular way of doing it, is showing their favorites, and then just talking about their favorites, and then
there we go. Is that showing?
Let's actually see some.
Okay.
Yeah. So some of these, this is my love letter to cancer patients. This is one that's both heartfelt and has humor and everything in it. Like it's my long one. This one took me weeks to do. It reads very long. It sums up everything about what I do and why I do it.
So can you scroll that further down there? Yeah, there we are.
Yeah. So this is how it opens up. It's got the cancer waiting, the owl waiting in the waiting room with the cancer. I really wanted to capture that. That was one of the first things I wanted to capture, is what it felt like to be sitting in the waiting room of an oncology office, opposed to just the doctor's office.
How do you explain this to somebody?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, so the idea, and if you look at the sign here, Cancer Center, if you scroll down.
Okay.
So it says, Cancer Center, please do not die while waiting. but cancer's just right nearby, a couple seats away, just going, why you gotta be so hateful? Cancer, and the owl's more annoyed. And the reason I showed him more annoyed is because, yes, it's scary, but there's some times when having cancer is just plain annoying.
Yeah.
It's just such an interference on everyday life. It's like, my God, I just want to live my life, and I have to be in here with you, and the reason I gave cancer, and if you scroll down a little more, you'll see cancer.
Before I scroll down, I wanted to ask you about the hope in the background.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad. No one ever asked me about that. I'm glad you did. That's very, very intentional. I put hope on there because the name of the cancer center I went to is called the Hope Center. And I just found it, I'm like, my God, I just found it so dismal. Like,
thank you. I'm assuming there's something a little sarcastic here. With the hope. I shouldn't.
It was. It's meant to be sarcastic because, it's like, my God, I don't know what to think. Hope isn't one of them right now. Right now, it's like, I'm annoyed. There's this thing here. I'm trying to understand what it is. And now people are talking about hope. I'm not supposed to be thinking about hope for my life. I'm supposed to be thinking about my life, And I made jokes around work, and people were shocked that I was making them. But I said, I hate that they call it the Hope Center. I said, I
Yes.
wish
Yes.
what
Yes.
I would love, I said, this is my sense of humor. As you can see in my comics, I have a dark sense of humor to some degree. And I said, what I would love more is if everyone walked around Hawaiian shirts and they called it the Tropic of Cancer instead.
I couldn't agree more. You know, these oncology offices are so dreadful. They just
Right.
ooze death or hopelessness. I mean, they're just having to walk in. It totally flips me out. I can't even do it anymore. I've been through 3 rounds of treatment for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, plus some surgery and radiation. And the thought of walking into an oncology office flips me out to the point I would rather not have treatment than have to deal with that office.
Right. Well, I know what you mean. And I'll tell you, for somebody of my age, 35,
and
in a small southern town, I'm surrounded by the oldest folks. And I kind of wish one of my favorites, I would have shown another one. I actually have a comic. It's not in the samples I sent you, but one of the comics I have is say, what I'd like you to, if you're under 40, what I'd like you to do is go to a nursing home and go sit and eat with them every day for days straight. And basically the whole idea was you're going to get the idea what it's like to be a cancer patient under 40, because you're just with really, really old folks who are staring at you like, what in the hell are you doing here?
Well, yeah. So when I remember going into the same waiting room and being the youngest person in the waiting room.
Yes.
And looking around saying, you know, everybody else in here is 80, you know, something. And here I am.
Their skin is literally falling off their skull. And
yeah. No, it's totally scary. Totally scary. And what I'm used of that comic is the "please don't die while in the waiting room," like the ridiculous, like because it points to this sort of bureaucracy aspect of it, which is sort of like, and we're calling Robin McGee.
And how are you paying for this? And where's your insurance? And let us make sure your insurance is in order and everything else. I mean, it is unbelievable. I was 50, 51 when I was diagnosed. So I was a little on the young side, but not as young as you. But even so, I would walk in, and regardless of age, there were people younger than me. But so many of the people just looked gray, hopeless. You know, they were just wasting away. And it was really terrifying to have to go in and be part of that. Right.
And then they're just super formal, like you said, and everything else. And that's why I had the "do not die." It was a way of capturing kind of
our numbers.
Right. Yeah. It's like the coldness that you kind of feel. It's like on one side you have hope, and the other it's like, please don't die while you're
So that exactly. That's it. Just the juxtaposition of that, I thought, was just hilarious.
Yes.
So
that was so gut level coming out of me. You know, I mean.
Oh, I bet
it was.
Your owl looks a little bit. I want to say almost a little bit paranoid, but paranoid is too strong a word. But it's how you feel. You're like watching everything around you, and it has such incredible, intense emotional impact. It does. Like all your nerves are raw, and you just feel everything.
You do. You do. You just feel everything. And then, so I wanted to capture that in the very first part, you know, because that's when you have cancer, that's where you start, is in there.
In the waiting room.
Yeah.
Right. And then meet cancer. So he has a fedora, as you'll notice.
Why does he have a fedora?
Because he is your annoying hipster roommate. I totally didn't want to show cancer as this beast monster, like I didn't want to do that, and because
he's the doppelganger of the owl.
He is.
The owl is the same size, the same height.
You're right.
But this is sort of a wasted, blasted version of the owl.
Right.
And so that's why it has that, the frighteningness is, as it is with all cancer. Cancer is you going crazy.
It is.
And so it's the image of him being just a little bit different from the owl is sort of, cancer. The cancer cells are a little bit different from the normal cells, but that's what.
Again, you guys said something that no one else has brought up, and I've had to bring it up to other people. But yes, he is he is the doppelganger of the owl. He's the same size, and that's purposeful.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I like the suitcase. He's moving in.
He's moving in, and you just got to deal with it. It is what it is. And yeah. And I wanted to kind of capture that. It's different for everybody,
Yeah.
I sensed he was around for a while. He didn't really spring up on me. I kind of knew he was there.
But that, that's uncommon for someone your age, right? So, because I don't know
Right.
what you were told. I was told, you're under 50, forget it. You can't have cancer. That we're not even going to give you a scope because we don't believe that people under 50 can get cancer. So,
Yeah.
and of course that's totally ludicrous. And but that's kind of how I had to deal with.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah.
It's surprising that someone as young as 35 would be thinking maybe this is cancer.
Right.
Is there
Yeah.
history
And
of
so,
cancer in your family?
oh yeah, my grandfather died of colon cancer.
Okay.
So
Are you Lynch? Are you Lynch syndrome?
I just found out recently I am technically Lynch. I am on the category right underneath what would be considered the full-blown mutation. So I would be under what's called most likely. So they're treating me for Lynch, even though I'm not all the way up, if that makes sense.
Have you got the microsatellite? So you have a microsatellite instability is the...
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't have the sheet in front of me. I kind of wish I did. I'd read it to you. Yeah, but it's like I have a lot of components for it's most likely, because before it was inconclusive, but lately they've had more research to say, well, now that it's no longer inconclusive, the data I was showing now means most likely.
Yeah.
So we're going to treat you like you got Lynch. We might as well just
that's
say
actually that's you're fortunate then, because then you'd respond to immunotherapy if you ever had a recurrence. So people
right.
who have that
Yes.
microsatellite stable don't have that option.
Right. Yeah. So but yes, I'm under the Lynch, and I'm being treated for Lynch. So yes. And then, but yeah, however, you're stuck with them. And I just really wanted that feeling of, it's not just like fear. There's just times it's annoying. I wanted to go beyond the Hollywood freaking cliches that I feel about cancer. Like we're always walking around bald and being like, either like dismal and depressed, or we're like super wise all the time, but like, a horrible monster. But it's like, no, we're like regular people who got to deal with this thing. We still have goals. We still want to go to work. We still want to hang out with our friends, but we got this with us. That's kind of, and this part, if you scroll down a little more, this is the part that a lot of people never bring up, but was really critical for me to put in. You're going to ask you're going to have a lot of questions. One of them being, is he going to kill me? And I really, I still wanted to have that sense that, hey, this thing could kill me.
Yeah.
This could end my life. So we had that, what do I do now? And then I bring it right back to the waiting room again. And this is a part that nobody's brought up either, that I wish more people would kind of notice, because this is so crucial for me. We were already talking about this, but did you ever think this would be you sitting in a medical facility waiting room that displays words like hope and looking at cancer patients who are there for the same reasons you are? Life's probably very different by now. Gone are the days, you can scroll down a little more, gone are the days of a 9-to-5 work week, non-interrupted by multiple appointments and sick days, relationships that aren't awkward. You're a cancer patient now. And it was really critical for me to show your name with the diagnosis of cancer in there.
Yes, because that's, for many people, that's a huge shocker at the beginning to say, here, how can this be me? How can this be the word that's used to describe me? And by the time you're in it for years and years, you kind of get used to it and say it yourself. But at the beginning, you've caught it exactly. At the beginning, it's like the shock of seeing the words on paper.
Yeah, it's just like, I'll never forget it. Like, I looked at a sheet of paper, it's a diagnosis, rectal cancer, and it just made my stomach sink.
No. I'm
like, it's my name. It's not anyone else's name.
That's right. This is my identity now.
Right. Yeah, this is part of my life, like it or not. And
then the medications, every medicine you can imagine. Boy, is that true.
Other medical mumbo jumbo. You know what it's good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Because it all just blends after that. And and the whole thing about the medical team, probably you'll soon be seeing a huge medical team, probably most often more than family members, you know.
And a huge list of them all, and then oh my, like the Wizard of Oz,
right,
lions and tigers and bears. Oh my,
right. Yeah, not even the little mice down there are med students.
yeah. That's
I like the way
like
the owl is in color, and everybody else is kind of in shadows. I think that's a wonderful differentiation.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just this. They all blend together. It all just, you know, I don't mean
they're a blur. They become a blur to you because there's so many.
Yeah, I wanted it to look like a blur. I didn't want it to look like something that was. I wanted people to really see it from the perspective of the cancer patient, and not from the perspective. Like, I feel like so much Hollywood stuff is from the perspective of how other people think cancer is.
Yes.
So I really want to capture something, what it's actually like, what it feels like to be in your shoes, and see it from your point of view. And
you're outnumbered big time.
Yeah, I'll tell you, even just sharing this now and talking about it's making my heart rate go up a little. Just
I'm sorry about that.
Oh no, it's a good thing. I mean, I like being in touch with those emotions. I don't.
And this is some of my all-time favorites pieces of your work here, is the voices you'll be hearing and the ludicrousness of it, the totally ludicrous things, like the one that I liked. We haven't looked at that, Candy, but the one that says, if you just listen to Enya.
Right. Yeah, that hippie dog shows up in other comics.
Yes.
And it's because I don't just, I want to lampoon like those health nut folks. But yeah, these are all actually, the ones up top here, I actually show as people who are, a little more rational. Yeah, they might not be totally accurate, but like the hippie saying, hey, if you're ever interested, I'm happy to share some nutritional options with you. It might really help your body, keep your body strong while you're going through treatment, or want to let you know I'm praying for you every day. Those are things I think are helpful. I didn't want to put those people down and say that those things weren't good things. I think they are. But then what I wanted to do is show the flip side of what it tends to come out like instead.
And it's also the cacophony of voices at that point in time where you're still back in the waiting room thinking, I don't want to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. For me, my daughter is barely over a year old. So I'm like, is my daughter going to grow up not even having a memory of me? Those are the questions I was facing. And then, I said, but then there's these voices. Good ideas become a load of fundamentalist, fear-based garbage.
Exactly. Yeah. Guzzle down gross bark tree ball juice, just $50 an ounce. I don't know how many times I've heard stuff
like that. Funny how they're like, big pharma's just in it for the money. Here.
Yeah, exactly.
This oil for $2,000.
And all of us have heard these voices.
Yes.
Every single cancer patient has heard someone,
Right. Even the one down below, I wondered if I would get some backlash on about you're doing what treatment? Please tell me you're getting a second opinion. Never go with your first doctor. Because I went with my first care. I didn't get a second opinion. I just didn't feel I needed it. I felt comfortable with the plan. And I was prepared to get a second opinion. But
the second opinion, I can tell you that wouldn't have differed. You would have gotten exactly the same.
Now, see, when I got a second opinion, actually, I applied for a clinical trial. And that's when I found out they totally misdiagnosed my cancer.
Oh, you had a different form than they thought?
Different than what they thought, yeah. And so that
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
so I got
that's like helpful stuff. I had some people tell me, well, you should have gotten a second opinion. Why didn't you get a second opinion? You always need to do that. And I'm like a guilt thing. I'm like, because I really, really worked hard with the team. And I was an active participant in my treatment and did my research with them and really heard what they had to say. And I felt like they were going in the right direction. So they substantiated what they were doing pretty well. But your example is incredibly big, reason why.
Beyond terrifying.
It is a good thing. Oh, yeah. I wanted to kind of patch it up a little bit. Didn't think I was being too hard on people, but because it's true. I had so many awesome people. I have to share this. One of my favorite people was this minister, and he was a friend of mine. He worked with me at the counseling agency. He says, hey, how about a couple of days, because he knew I wanted to juice. And he goes, how about I take you a couple of your radiation appointments, and when you get done, like, we'll just go back to your house and we'll make juice together.
So that practical help, that practical
Yeah.
assistance with day to day, like I'll drive you to this,
Yeah.
let me get you groceries, let me cook you a meal. Those things are so much more of
Yeah.
value than someone saying, you have my thoughts and prayers.
Right. I just loved how that guy, Brandon, he was like, yeah, let me just, yeah, well, I'll take your appointment. Then we'll hang out together. We'll actually spend time, and that meant the world to me. I mean,
Yeah.
that stuck out to me so much.
You realize that a human gift of time, of help, of just holding your hand, of being
Right.
there, being silent means so much more than anybody can imagine.
It really does. And for both from religious folk and non-religious folk, I mean, it was really fantastic. And this is where the tone of the comic goes from funny to, dismal.
Real.
Because
but it's real.
Yes. I really like to describe chemotherapy like a large ogre just sitting on you and you have nothing to do but just sleep. It's like the weight. Like, I just remember, like, I would, like, lay down to sleep and I just felt like something heavy was on top of me while I slept. It wasn't even a comfortable rest. It was just rest, like,
well, that's the nature of chemotherapy. You're fatigued, but sleep is not restorative, which is the difference between cancer and health.
I couldn't have said it better. And I just really, the illustrations take a real dark turn on purpose.
But on purpose, and that's what I like about them, is because they actually do show that sort of shadowland people go into mentally. We all do. And you'd be like, one thing that drives me nuts is the sort of culture of insisting on positivity 100% of the time. And so much media around it is fight the battle and hope and inspiration, whatever. But without, and so the cancer patients actually feel guilty for having thoughts like in their minds like you're describing. And so what I loved about your work is that it just people think this way. Let's bring out what people really are thinking. And so that's why you're getting such a huge response, is that people say, I'm sick and tired of telling me telling me I have to be positive all the time and I can't have a dark thought.
I think there are moments of feeling hopeless, even if you have a good prognosis as you're going through this, because the drugs and everything are so horrific. And when you're in this drug-induced state over the course of months, it is hell on earth. It really is.
Hell on earth is.
That's a good way to describe it. You just go into the state. And so I set it up dark so that I can bring it back up at the end here. But I wanted to say some days might feel hopeless, some days you don't feel anything at all. But I'd also be lying, And then cancer's just mocking them, They're doing that frown upside down, just like you said, Robin. Smile, be happy.
Yeah, right.
And then I just gear up for it. If I didn't tell you how amazing you are, that you'll find strength you didn't realize you had. I just want to have this great ass-kicking scene. I just want people on this part to go, yes! Because that's all the parts we kind of hope for, though, at the same time. Like, I'm not big on the war mentality at all. Yeah. I don't like calling myself a cancer warrior and all that.
Yeah, I hate some of these terms that get assigned to us. They drive me crazy.
Too. I don't like it. But at the same time, I sort of acknowledge that there is that fight in us that wants to move on and have that strength. So I definitely entertained a little bit of it because I know some people do respond to that. And there was a part of me that paradoxically still wants to have that fight in me. And it'll come out. Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah. Yeah. And then and then these ending thoughts. Sure, you have cancer, but you're not dead. And if you'll notice, I never say you're going to make it. I never do. There's no promise. None of us are promised that. So sure, you have cancer, but you're not dead. And you'll find that beating cancer has less to do with not dying and more with how you spend today. And today is all any of us have, isn't it? Who's guaranteed tomorrow?
Oh boy, is that ever a lesson that you learn?
Yeah. Because you, cancer patient, know this better than anyone. For that reason, you are blessed. Go live today. You deserve it.
Let's see if I can pull up some of these others. Did the screen? No, that's the one we just did.
Yeah, we just did that one.
Okay, hold on. Here.
Yeah, I'm just really proud of that.
Because it really covers the whole initiation to it.
Yeah.
The one I love the most, I wonder if we could We could find that one, Pat. It's the one
Sure.
with the owl's on a hill and Cancer. The owl is saying, "Well, Cancer, maybe I should make friends with you. You're great." And the owl, Cancer is got a knife behind the back of the person saying, "Yeah, be friends with me."
That one is that one's not on my list that I said, but I could tell you where to find it.
No, okay. Well, I love that one. I'd love it. I'd love for us to find it because it to me, that new agey idea that just love it, accept it, embrace Cancer as your friend, it's a gift, all that crap. I just it is not a gift, it's there to kill you. You never ever let your guard down
right. And that's it. That's why I showed him with the knife at the end.
That's perfect. I thought it was perfect. Anyway, let's look at this one. This is
let's look at this one.
This was my first comic to go viral. This one went viral on Imgur. Surprisingly, I thought this one would not do well at all. But yeah, so Having Cancer According to Hollywood, this is my first comic where I wanted to start lampooning Hollywood ideals because I was just sick and tired of it. So I said, so I kind of took this from different movies like Forrest Gump and stuff.
Yeah.
It's okay, my child. You can come closer. I'm going to be remarkably clear-headed and soft-spoken while I tell you about how precious life is and give you inspirational advice that will change you forever. Live your life, child. Live your life.
That's how many movies have we seen that in? We've seen that scene dozens and dozens of times.
Yes.
Yeah, in so many movies and shows. And I say this, that Hollywood loves a dead cancer patient. They love, if you have cancer in a movie, you are going to die. So having cancer in real life, you child, I can't find my chemo pills. Have you seen my pills? I don't know where anything is. Why are you standing there? What's your name again? Did you, yawning. Did you take my pills? My brain's like mush and I can't find what am I looking for? I had so many people say, man, that was my dad. This is so spot on. I had one person in Imgur say, upvote for being so accurate. F you for bringing back bad memories.
And yet accuracy is what artists, you as artists and me as a writer would strive for, right? You can't, the sugar coating aspect. But the point is, the whole point of this comic is let's get the sugar coating off this and look at what it really is. And it is parents being disabled. Yes. As parents, and how that is super upsetting to us as parents, and super upsetting, potentially upsetting to children too.
Absolutely,
so it hits everybody.
Now, this person recently passed away. I think Robin, you're familiar with Mark McIntosh.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a friend of mine. He was one of my biggest fans, one of my biggest readers. He and his wife Sandra, and Sandra, I knew he was starting to go into hospice soon, and I just wrote Sandra and I said, because she said, could you just do a comic I think you should do a comic about caretakers. And I said, absolutely. I think you're spot on about that. I think they need their due, and could you write something for me? So she wrote this, and I did this for Christmas. It took a lot of extra time, but it was worth it. This came out shortly before Mark died. And this one makes me tear up when I read it. But her writing is beautiful. She just says, my husband's last Christmas. We're busy making memories and taking pictures along the way. And every time we learn of another group of people or foundation has acted upon a bucket list item, like sitting under a Christmas tree and excitingly opening up a beautiful gift. Because of their kindness, we've done many fun things like going to a Giants game and Disney on Ice. With each bucket list item we check off, my heart swells and I dwell on the fresh memories photographed in my head. I see Mark as if there is no cancer and he's strong and well. He's smiling ear to ear with sparkles in his eyes. I watched as him and our son Mikey grabbed hands and glided on the ice with the other Disney characters. And Mark ran onto the field of the New York Giants and threw a football around with the players. And this part is what just gripped me. I mean, I had goosebumps and I was fighting back tears when I was drawing this. Mark easily contains his feelings, but his eyes and smile have always told stories. I see huge dreams that, even if for a few hours, take the cancer and darkness away. And when she just says this, it just blows my mind. When I'm a part of such a memory, and and moment, I too am able to smile and forget. It helps the memories get in.
Oh,
And it just, yeah, that was one really emotional one for me to do.
I'm feeling emotional right now just watching it.
Yeah, that one was, that was a gut punch to draw, but it was worth it.
yeah, there's such a huge piece of wisdom in this, though, in that if you can be so in that moment, for that moment, you
Right.
really can make the cancer can disappear. For that
Yes.
moment, you can just be alive and be there. And it's a very profound experience. And it's one that if you can learn to live your life more present like that, it's life changing. It's game changing, totally.
Yes, it really is. It's that's the biggest gift, don't you guys think, of that you get from cancer, is that you literally learn to love the moment,
Yes.
the present moment. I just, sometimes to the point where it almost causes anxiety for me, because I swear I could see my daughter's fingers growing in front of my face and changing in real time and developing, and I'm just like, stop. I just grab on this moment and I want to create these moments, and my daughter didn't quite understand what I'm trying to do, and I've had to learn to let up on her a little bit, just because, just trying to soak up everything. But one thing that's really helped me is doing meditation every morning. That's helped meet that need of learning how to be present and doing it in a healthy way, and not pushing on other people to have the, but yeah, it's such a gift, and it's also teaches you how to let so many things go that don't matter.
Oh, it has totally changed my sense of priorities. And I also got into meditation, and meditation has changed my life.
Yeah, me
Absolutely
too.
changed my life.
Yeah, I love it.
Are you guys talking mindfulness meditation or other forms?
For me, mindfulness meditation, I do a little transcendental, but I'm not trained in it. I just do mostly mindfulness meditation, self-guided.
I do TM, and I try to get 2 sessions in a day, although I've been changing the way I approach my TM a little bit, because I found myself not settling down into a deep meditation like I had for years. And I realized I had to get more into my body and less into my mind. And once I made that little bit of a shift, then I
Yeah.
found that all that deep meditation came right back. But it takes, you have to, none of this is constant. I mean, you have to fuss with it all the time. You have to adjust it. It's not like you can get it right once and that's it. So do we have another one here? Let me look.
We'll share a couple of mine.
Yeah, let's do.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That was my most viral one. This one got over 20,000 upvotes on Reddit.
Wow.
11,000, well, 20,000 the second time I shared it, and 11,000 the first time, and it went front page of Reddit both times. This one has been shared so much, people are like, even on Reddit, are like, I see this everywhere on the internet. This one's been shared. So this one's called Superstar. So the cancer patient, the internet, I'll tell you what, before I get into it. So when I made this in like an hour. It didn't take me long to do. I had sketched it in my sketchbook before. I had considered not releasing it and taking a week off because I was so afraid of offending, because I never wanted to pit one cancer against another. I don't believe in that at all. And that wasn't my intent. But I was just getting so sick and tired of the only people that seemed to get real care and attention and people rallying people of a certain type. And there seemed to be this certain expectation of what a cancer patient should look like. So I really was hesitant. I thought nobody would like this. I did it in an hour. I thought it was going to be a throwaway, and ended up being my most viral of any of the comics I've done. So yeah, the cancer patient the internet loves. Actually, let me see if I can pull this up a little better. There we go. That makes that a little nicer. So meets media stereotype by being bald or having hair growing in. Looks healthy and energetic, perky, fun, and charismatic. Has a visible talent. Raises hundreds of thousands in donations. Has a video go viral. Always expected to be strong and can't ever have a bad day. So, they can't ever like have a bad day. They always have to be the perky one, like we were talking about earlier. And then I put this one, and this is where my colorectal cancer patient people are like, yep, it went like the plague. Never lost hair in treatment. stares into space a lot due to having chemo brain, gained weight during treatment, still has to go to work and act like there's no cancer, writes a long-winded blog, nobody reads it, and receives $500 in donations, mostly from parents.
Yeah, that's that, you know,
Yep.
and yeah, it's sort of like the Hollywood one in the contrast made between the perfect, what other people in the world want the cancer to be person to be like, wise and inspiring and perfect and all that all the time, and then what most of us are really like, which is exhausted, dragged out, not nice looking. When I was on Folfox and Vectibix in the fall, I had these like you get this Vectibix, they call the Vectibix rash, and so it's just like a horrible rash. Your skin would bleed, and Pat will tell you, we would do these talks, these things, and my nose would bleed in the middle of the of the Cancer Book Club broadcast. There's so many unlovely aspects that are simply never shared.
Yeah, there are, but people want to just see the bald head with the scarf and and the wise and
they're always saying, you look so good, and you're like, I feel like crap.
Yeah. Yeah, I would get told that. I have people at work and they meant well by it.
Yes, they mean well.
But they were just saying, well, we kept forgetting you had cancer.
Because you looked like you did before.
Yeah, I didn't lose hair in my treatment. And, but yeah, I mean, they didn't see me in between therapy appointments, like diving into a couch in an empty office and taking naps. Or, my ostomy bag in front of the whole staff for like 60 people. My ostomy bag started to leak through my shirt.
Oh, been there.
And then I had to rescue all that. And then I was 3 minutes late, and the CEO being like, where is he?
How do you explain that one to the CEO? Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's the thing about colorectal cancer in specific is, even with reversals, I mean, how do you talk to people about that? How do you tell people why you're going to the bathroom for the 12th time?
Yeah, exactly. So that the low anterior resection issues that people have, where they're they're majorly dysfunctional, although they're not an ostomate. So either way, there's no rest for the wicked, as it were, because you have to. There's so many horrible and embarrassing moments that go with it.
There are. It's endless. And work, there's people in the waiting room for a new appointment a few weeks ago, and I had a complete accident because the CEO got into the bathroom right before me, and then all of a sudden everything went.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I got to go home and change.
Yeah.
And I had to sneakily head out, and I told the front office, you'll have to let them know that I'm sorry, but I have to cancel.
Well, and I'm a clinical psychologist in my day job as well, and so I totally understand that you're in an hour session with somebody. You can't go, I'm sorry, stop having that disclosure. I need to run out of the room, and it is very, very difficult.
Yes.
To be a therapist and to give some people your undivided attention, which you're paid to do, and they deserve it because they're the client. And yet sue with an issue, GI issues that you can't, obviously share or deal with or whatever. It's a hard road.
Excuse me, I'm technically pooping my pants right now, and
Exactly.
It is hanging halfway out in my pants as we speak, and
exactly.
I go before it literally rolls down my pant leg in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's but you can't, It's just and I've had to just bald face lie. Oh, let me get this form so we can fill out.
Right.
I'll be right back. I've had to just bald face lie, and a few times, and because that would totally just be awful. So I've managed to get through some pretty sticky situations. I'm really glad I'm a really think on my feet person. Ooh, let me get it a little better here. So here's one that did very well. And it's one of my favorites. This is after you're cancer-free. about
Yes,
scanxiety.
anxiety.
So the doctor's like, good news, your scans look great, you're still cancer free, and he throws up this goblin. Like, what's that? And, you know, cancer's back, cancer's back, cancer's back. And he just says, oh, that's scanxiety. I swear the little bugger gets bigger every time I have a new scan. He said, I'll see you in 6 months. A lot of people are like, yes, that's exactly how it is. It just grows, you know, right? Because I have a CT scan coming in a couple of weeks. And
I start living on the ceiling about 2 weeks before a scan. I get so freaked out. Yeah. And people just don't understand.
No, they don't. It's like, you don't understand. Maybe this next time around, like right now, my life's going great. You know, this next time around could be a time when, you know, it's as this guy cancer. Now they're telling me I'm on the sweet end of it and everything's looking really, really fantastic. I'm living a very healthy lifestyle. Everything's going great. But still, it's a reality I live with, especially with Lynch. And
well, that's right. That's right. So yeah. So yeah. And you know, as someone who just, I had my cancer recurred after 8 years remission, and they tell you after 5, oh, you're a survivor, you're free,
So
this will never happen.
Arbitrary numbers.
Go to the park, you know. Yeah. But you know, my mom had a 14-year remission and then recurrence. So you know, people recur, they do, and so and I can say, as being one of them, interestingly, I can tell you that the anxiety, once you've lived with scan anxiety every single minute of every single day of 7-8 years, and then when you do recur, you're actually less anxious on the other side, because it's like, at least to go through scan anxiety. It's, you know, I'm here. I you know, the thing I dread, the knife, the sword of Damocles I dreaded every day of every minute of every day for 7 years.
right.
And that's that. And so there's no need to worry about the sword anymore, because it's already fallen.
Yeah, well, that's a very interesting observation, and it's true, because scanxiety emerges from the fact that you know, obviously fear, but it's back, and when and if it finally comes back, at least you're dealing with something real, as opposed to that mental illusion that you've been dragging around with you forever, which is exhausting.
Well, right. The other thing people don't remember is that you actually know a whole lot more. By the time you recur, you know a lot, you've been through a lot. And when the doctors say, oh, you know, we're going to have to do this to you, you go, well, I've been through that before, you know, like, so you're not as helpless and terrified as you are the first time, even if you have a bad prognosis, or because you've been there, done that, and it's not new, and it's just something you have to take up the mantle again. You just do.
I think there's a few ways to look at that. I would say another perspective would also be that if you get hit with a re-diagnosis, if you've been through several rounds of treatment and you know what it's been like, it may be more along the lines of, maybe I'm taking a different tangent here. I don't want to do that again.
That's right. And then it's sort of, before, when you first diagnosed, you think you don't have any choices. When you recur, you realize there's choices, including no further treatment.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I you know, it's interesting how you talked about when it's finally there, you know, like, cause I had symptoms for close to a year, and when it finally happened, in one way, it was very, like, of course it was hard news to hear. Then there was another part of me, and I tell people this, and some people seem like they have a hard time believing me, but I'm like, another part of me was relieved.
Well, because you had an answer to what was the reason for the symptoms. You were probably thinking Crohn's, you're thinking colitis, you're thinking all kinds of things. At your age, you would have been thinking benign but awful diseases. They're still terrible, awful ways to live with Crohn's. Crohn's and colitis are very, very, very hard lives. And
yes, and well, one of the reasons is because my life was so stressed out at that time, and part of me was also relieved, because I'm like, I had an answer, and then I was also like, I actually said to myself, maybe some people will finally get off my back, so that I can, and I'll have the courage now and a reason to tell people to step away from me a little bit, because my work schedule was just, I was telling everyone, yes, I can, over obligated. I was really stressed out. And then I just said, now people will really take me seriously when I say I can't do it all, and will really back down. And then I was also relieved because I'm like, I kind of feel like the life I've been wanting to live for years, I'm going to get to finally do it. It's going to give me the opportunity to jumpstart jumpstart me. And so I know it sounds odd to some people, but
Now,
it was kind of a relief.
Paul Calinthy and David Servan-Schreiber both wrote that one of the things that cancer did is it allowed them to stop being so competitive and in these high stress jobs and just step back a bit and take a breath. And that comment, just like you're saying, hit me really hard. We drive ourselves to ridiculous extremes, I think, in terms of trying to perform in this this matrix we call life. And I think it's one of the things we need to take a hard look at, because I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's to our long-term benefit. And you shouldn't have to have cancer to figure that out. No,
it's not. No, we only have so much time in a day, and when it's gone, it's gone. And it did. It just made me go, oh, so much of that's not important. Here's what's important to me, and I'm going to chase that. And it's so easy to leave things now, even things I like, if it's keeping me away from the most crucial things that are important to me.
Mm-hmm. I remember being in an airport one time with somebody, and there's a prospect of the plane being delayed, or we're missing the flight, or some other kind of thing, some kind of technical thing. And she was like losing her mind with the stress of it. And I'm going, this is nothing. This is nothing. This is not stressful. One time I had to give a talk on anxiety disorders to like an entire theater, like a big multi-cineplex theater full of, and so I'm in, and the audio won't work and the video won't work and everything falls apart, and it's all about anxiety. And so I said to the audience, like, I know you would be thinking that I would be flipping out right now because none of my technology is working for this massive talk that we're here for all day for, but once you've had cancer, nothing else makes you anxious.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it really doesn't. Like, I had a plane thing happen too when I was flying to Stanford to give a presentation for CancerOwl at Stanford University. We had a major plane delay thing too. It was like I was stuck in Dulles Airport in DC for about 7 hours. And man, people are flipping out. And I'm just like, cool, it gives me time to work on some other stuff. And I just was like, whatever, I'll be all right. I even had to change it. Well, it was funny because my original, they relocated me. I was supposed to go to San Jose, and then the guy's like, well, the way they got the other flight, by the time you're, this other state, I think Colorado or something, you're going to get there where you'll have to literally run, and you might not get to the plane because you have a delay with this other plane. So he's like, you just want to go to San Francisco instead? We can put you on that, and it's leaving right now. It's leaving in 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah, put me on that. And then that plane breaks.
Oh, no.
I'm waiting 7 hours. And a lot of people would start, losing their minds. I was fine. I was literally fine. And even, you being a therapist as well, you could totally relate. Not everyone in the mental health field, you would think a lot of people in the mental health field were good at self-care and taking care of themselves. No, a lot of them aren't. And the way they flip out and they overextend, and I was there too. Now I'm looked at, I actually teach people mindfulness meditation and everything. And I run courses on self-care and lead people in meditation. I'm kind of known as like the chill guy. But
I earned it.
Yeah, I earned it. Yeah. And, oh, by the way, I the comic you said that was your favorite.
Yes, this one.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So it goes, cancer is just like, I have cancer looking kind of like, at this point, they're almost buddies. Hey, bud, you haven't been talking about kicking my ass recently. Are you okay? Oh, hi, cancer. I've just been rethinking this war I have with you. Maybe I've been going about my healing all wrong by setting this aggressive tone every day with F cancer this and I hate cancer that. When really, you want to live and thrive just like I do. You're like a flower that was planted in the wrong place. Maybe what I need to do instead is to go to a mountaintop and symbolically replant you where you can thrive in peace. You're so enlightened. Their cancer holding the dagger behind is back.
That's
Well, this comically represented, yeah, it's kind of the paradox I feel, because
Absolutely.
there is one part of me that wants to be the middle panel here. Like, there's a part of me that absolutely wants to adopt that, because my therapist even told me that story. He told me about a lady who had like terminal cancer, and she went to a qigong master, and he told her about like cancer really was just a flower that got planted in the wrong place, and apparently she went to a mountaintop and symbolically planted the flower, and then like she became cancer free. And while that's a lovely story, and there's part of me that liked that, and it caused me to not have such a conflicted attitude about cancer, to learn to just sort of accept it. I still couldn't let go of the fact that this thing's trying to kill me.
Exactly. That's the middle panel is the flowers.
Yeah.
The flowers and his wide eyes, and the flowers and bees, all over. It's sort of like, oh, this is in the meadow. Let's frolic through the meadow with our cancer. Our cancer's not really our enemy. It's just a misplaced friend, No, it's your lethal enemy.
Right. The thing is trying to kill you. And I really wanted to drive that point home for people. And this is an example of a comic, and I have other comics like it, where I just don't want to let people completely off the hook.
Yes.
Like, I just don't want people to be off the hook with either ideology.
Like the glib or the doomsville, right? Either way, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to challenge people's idea of the war thing, but I didn't want to completely be like, well, that means now I don't think you should have any sort of warlike men.
Or positive thoughts will cure you.
Exactly. That's what I love, that the contrast you weave into each of these comics I find so powerful and so amusing and enlightening.
There's another version of that. I'll see if I can look up quick, of something very similar. I did have a little bit of a alliteration error in it, but I maybe one day I'll fix it. I really should. Let me see if I can find it quick. It was here, this one called You Suck. This one here. So now a
PSA.
Yeah. Hi friends. I feel the need to ask something serious. Why do you hate me? I'm just trying to thrive and make my way just like you. It's not fair to shout cancer sucks. Think of all the good I do. Who can bring family together like I can? Ever notice how I help folks find what truly matters in life? So again, I'm trying to Now, I have the wrong book in mind, so I'm going to just edit
I love this.
But without me, you wouldn't have all those great movies that give you a good cry. You wouldn't have, say, Fault Like Stars.
Tuesday with Maury. I know what Tuesday is.
Maury is actually about a different disease. I thought it was cancer, so I got to fix that. But the point being, so besides, what is life without a little adversity? Little. Like WoW progresses out without some kind of crisis. You should be thanking me, folks, because you have to make so much noise. Hold still.
Yeah, he's strangling him.
Right.
But these, if you two are on Facebook, that's the kind of thing people often do respond with. Oh, this will make you more present in life. This will make you that, and it's all it's trying to strangle me.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's like, yes, there are good points to it. There's gifts that come out of it, but at the same time, it's like it's trying to kill me, and it kills my friends, and I have friends that are gone now because of it, and it kills kids, and it's So this is another example of a comic. I just didn't want to let people off the hook. I didn't want in either direction, because I just want to force people to think about it and think about cancer in new ways and make people uncomfortable. I wanted these to be some comics that didn't have a definite answer and just got people talking and maybe arguing even a little bit,
Well, the thing I like about these comics is that they speak not only to the patient, who's definitely been in these conflicted situations, but to the rest of the whole world, the healthy world,
right?
Who will look at them and go, "Oh my gosh, yeah, now I get why Robin isn't positive every single minute,
Right.
And
the thing, yeah. you know, I've had people who've used the comics to talk to their
Yeah.
families, and they said it's helped bridge. I've had so many people write and say, my family and I are actually talking about cancer now because of these comics. They're not uncomfortable around me anymore. Or some people will say, I'm starting to talk to my friends with cancer differently now. You've really helped me out. I really, it's given me so much insight to what it's like to be them.
And maybe help them to avoid the worst kinds of things they can do or say, like, oh, love, like to the breast cancer people, oh, you got to have a boob job. Lucky you.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I actually have a comic about that.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops.
Your comics, many of them are based on real stories, right? Real.
Yes. Yeah. So let me pull up a couple of those and get back to, I think I accidentally went to a weird place. Let me see if I can get out of that.
We've all been to many weird places. No problem.
Yes. Here we go. Yeah. I have no idea what I can find a bunch. So yeah, I got to a point where I felt like I told my story so much to the point where I'm like, do I need to stop my comic now? Because I'm basically cancer free at this point. And I started having people asking me if they could illustrate different things about them. So at first I kind of turned it down like, and then I was like, no, let me do it. And so I started doing that. And so yes, I started illustrating different people's cancer stories, which became a great new turn in what I did. So I'm looking at a bunch. This is a funny one. I just like this one. Share.
Let's wrap up with a funny one. That's a good way to go.
Okay. So here's a funny one. And obviously the one with Mark, you know, the one we looked at earlier. So this one is inspired by, and this is submitted by Amy Turman. So the feeling you get when your grandma has breast cancer, the reluctance you have when she insists that you feel her prosthetic breast, the look on your fiance's face when he walks in at just the right moment. You know, I really like this one. I
do too. That's you know,
yeah,
one of those ludicrous moments.
You know, there's just, you know, I love the different stories, and I won't read it through all the way, but like real quick, just show you the one you talked about with saying, oh, I wish you got to have a boob job. That's what this one is based off of. You know, someone like telling someone with a double mastectomy that she's actually
jealous of her. Yeah,
she's jealous because she gets to have breast implants, you know. Just like if you don't mind, maybe I'd like to end maybe on this one. Mm-hmm. And because I know you guys got to wrap up. But this one, if there's one, I just love this one so absolutely much. It's very illustration light because I really wanted the words to be in there. This guy from England, I believe, sent this to me. He says, one of the things my wife and I liked doing was getting take and bake pizzas with mushrooms and olives on hard days. It just helps make a rough day better. The day I was diagnosed with cancer, it wasn't easy. My wife asked if she could grab the pizza while I relaxed at home. When she had gotten home, I made a small comment about how she had gotten the wrong olives, chopped instead of sliced. It was literally no big deal to me. She broke down in front of me. She apparently had a breakdown while shopping and wasn't paying attention to the labels. She just wanted to make the perfect pizza because how shitty the news was. And said she couldn't even get that right. Held each other and cried. It was what we really needed. I honestly didn't care about the olives or the pizza. In hindsight, I still think it's kind of funny that that's what it was that got us to really address our feelings. Olives. I just love that story so much because it captures a relationship going through this in all the best ways. You know?
Yes.
I loved his story. I just had to, I had to really shrink down the pictures and make room for his words because because
they were so powerful.
Yes. They were. I just love, because to me, you know, being married and, you know, the hours I could spend talking about how amazing my wife, my caretaker, was with me. And what I loved about this particular comic was how it captured sort of the relationship my wife and I have because of, man, just finding those little things to help her
That's
get through.
finding things that
And
are
it's
finding
also
something funny in those sort of also painful moments.
right. Just those small little times, like, the times I had to put on a diaper to go to work, and the kind of quips my wife and I have back and forth, or
Well, yes, yeah, I'm kind of totally can relate to those too. I can totally relate to that whole aspect as well. And you know,
yeah,
but it does. This also sort of has the part, the shade in it around the caregiver's anxiety, how they really want to help you, and they hate getting it wrong. And
yes,
and yet they themselves are so distressed and so abstracted. I'm, and when I would be when I was on infusional chemo, I would be just such a total wreck of a human, and then I have my off week, and I'd recover a little bit in my off week, and on my off week, my husband basically went to bed, couldn't get out
my
because he was
my
so
wife,
exhausted
yeah,
providing all that care. And so, like, it is relentless for the caregiver too, and this sort of where they sort of wrap up the caregiving sort of gaff, as it were, as in a humorous and loving way. It's a great way to end. It's a lovely story.
yeah.
It's
It's one
terrific.
of all the stories I've told. It's one of my favorites. I just think it captures not only cancer but just relationships and what makes true love. And I mean, I don't know what I would have done without my wife. I really don't. Yeah, I really don't know what I would have done without her. She was incredible. And you'll see comics if you want to go on my website. You'll see some comics where she's featured, and I don't feel like I've dedicated enough, honestly. But yeah, like it's one thing that she did once was my last 9 days of chemotherapy
It's
were hell.
cumulative, right?
I
You
look
were on. You had Folfox, right? Correct.
No, I had Zalota.
You only had Xeloda. You didn't have adjuvant after your
Nope, nope.
surgery.
No, but when I had the Zalota while I had an ostomy bag, and I just was having diarrhea like crazy, so I was
Yeah.
dehydrated all the time, and I was in the long term. So I had the Zalota after my ostomy surgery as well. Follow up chemo for
Okay. Okay. You did. How long?
about 6 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm on now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're on the follow up Zalota.
That's right.
Right,
Yeah.
with the ostomy. Yeah, so it's a lot of diarrhea and you're dehydrated all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to drink tons of liquid.
All the time. And I had to go to the hospital quite a bit. And my last 9 days were just like hell. I felt like I looked like I was 60 years old. And my wife did this great thing my last 9 days where I came downstairs and she had a big gift bag with 9 different presents inside. She says, because I know every morning you have to get and take those pills. So I wanted you to have something to look forward to every morning.
Isn't that lovely? What a lovely story. That's so
She,
great.
she's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Xeloda is cumulative, right? So at the very end, you're like loaded with the stuff. And if you were like me, you couldn't even walk.
No, I felt like poison was seeping through my pores, like everywhere I walked. And I don't know about you, whenever I go to swallow those pills, I could almost feel every cell in my body screaming, like, stop! Like at
Except
a
I've had the
cellular
major
level.
infusional chemo now. As I thought Xeloda was tough, doesn't hold a candle. Does not hold one candle to Folfox and the big infusional drugs. Those that is curl up in the fetal position and you want to die type.
That's what I
Event.
heard.
Where Xeloda is tough, but it's just there's a order of magnitude. So, but of course, everybody being different. Like some people really suffer on one drug and are fine, other people are fine on it. But I don't know. As terrible as you say, as terrible as Zalota is, it's nothing at all. And that's what I think every day when I have to live with so you can't see them, but my super raw hands and feet, is, well, these side effects are reversible.
Yeah,
Infusions, you end up with permanent neuropathy, and that's not reversible, and that's really, really awful. So
yeah,
you're
yeah,
lucky to have avoided it.
yeah. I feel very lucky. I
Because you were
really
stage 2, right? You were stage 2.
correct.
Right.
Stage 2. Yeah, I really dodged a bullet. Very, very. I mean, I was right on the edge of going into the other world. But I'm glad I got it when I did, and I'm I'm getting really good care, seen very regularly. The hospital is very, very good about follow-up. My doctor's been very invested. My surgeon's been very invested with me. I mean, they are not letting up that easily. You know, I feel pretty well taken care of, you know, for the most part. You know, I'll be having, they are spacing out my colonoscopies, which is making me a little nervous, but I'm getting my CTs and the end of, you know, the flexible scope, you know, flexible.
Yeah, same-point scope, yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting those rather regularly and everything too. So, but now because I'm Lynch, they identify me as Lynch, they're now doing uppers. So I got an upper coming up as well.
Yeah.
So they're going to be doing that. So yeah, the doctor just brought me in. He's like, well, I got some news for you. You know, and this is something I actually had to request though. And I would recommend anybody, if you have, get tested for.
Well, yeah, and that, you know, and then it should be a standard of care that every patient under the age of 50 is tested. And then, in fact, some major centers like Mayo have gone to testing every single person, no matter how old they are, for Lynch, and finding out that as many, they used to say, oh, it's only 3%, 2%, whatever, you know, as many as 15 or even 30% of 60-year-olds are identified as having Lynch. And, you know, that we've been lying to people because we didn't test older people. We said they didn't have it, but they do have it. And so then that, you know, there's risk to their children and their cousins and their grandchildren and as a result. So we have underestimated the degree of Lynch syndrome out there and other genetic cancers. So everybody should be tested. You're exactly right, no matter how old you are.
Yeah. And I'm glad I did. But yeah, he was great. He pulled me in. He's like, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to say you have Lynch right at that tier. He said, but, you know, because we want to check you and make sure you're good, because, you know, it could show up now in other places other than your rectum. It could show up in your liver or whatever. Now, a guy who's a Lynch specialist, kind of who is with the GI, he kind of told me, he's like, yeah, risk pretty low, but he's like, we'll still do it, you know. So I was like, okay, good. So they actually told me too, if you're Lynch, he told me that and maybe you got told this too, to take a baby aspirin every day.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Told me to take a baby aspirin every day. That's actually weighted more in research than diet.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Although it didn't stop me from recurring.
Sure.
But I did do it. I did do it from pretty much from initial diagnosis on, sort of thing. Yeah. You know, there's a whole lot of you know, there's a whole lot of things that the research is sort of evolving more and more, and perhaps you know, for Lynch syndrome there are immunotherapies and you know, there's really studies where 100% of the Lynch carriers survived in studies. Yeah, so you know, so it's if you're going to have it, if you're going to have cancer, it's a good thing to have, except for the fear that what it means to your children, and that's the anxiety.
So the part of the words of wisdom here we want to leave everybody with is definitely be aware of these sort of correlations between Lynch syndrome and other types of cancer, and push your doctor to test if you have any concern at all, because obviously, as you're saying, they are not testing for this.
No, it's like when you're under 50, like when I went to my general doctor too, when I first had bleeding symptoms, he goes, oh, you have classic colitis, you know, and he's like, he actually pushed back my colonoscopy time like for months.
Whoa.
Because he's like, well, we only
I went through that, of course, too, as well.
You did too,
I was in my 40s. Yeah, I was late 40s. And I had an immediate family history. So
you know,
even under those circumstances, they were like, nah, under 50, screening starts at 50, therefore you can't have cancer. No scope for you.
But now the screening
your symptoms are, because cancer starts at 50. Colorectal cancer starts at 50, not before. And you know what? That's just a lie. I've seen many young people have it, and many young people die of it because of that kind of ignorant response.
That's what my the surgeon told me. She says, you know, she says, right now I have 10 other people who are right around your age that have colorectal cancer. And he says, wow. He said, you're rare. She said, you are one of 2 people that is not stage 3 or 4. She says the rest.
Because the others are ignored to death. They're ignored to death by their family physicians who tell them they just have hemorrhoids.
Yeah, that's what she said. That's she said people under 40 that we get are all late stage, and almost always. And so many of the survivor friends I have, they were late stage needlessly because, yeah, they get pushed off, and they could have caught it early like I did.
Yeah, I would be one of those people.
Yeah, right. You just got, pushed off and pushed down the road. And if
years down the road.
Yeah, if my grandfather didn't die of colon cancer, I probably wouldn't have been able. They probably would have pushed it down even more.
My mother had colorectal cancer twice, and they still didn't.
Wow.
Relevant consideration.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So it really was a terrible care. Anyway, we should wrap up, I guess, with for today.
Sorry, I took you guys over time, huh?
Oh, no,
thank you so much
my internet connection's a little unstable. I'm just always worried I'm going to lose you all.
Yes. Well, I just want to say thank you again to Matthew for joining us today on Cancer Book Club. Because it was, I really love the messages and the comics that are out there, and will maybe continue to be out there. And what we'll do, we're going to post this. We get a lot of people who pick us up on the replay. People replay, and we tweet out, as you'll see, we tweet out your the book, your work, and we promote your website and so on. And so that's how we kind of make sure that people who are artistically engaged, cancer survivors who are artistically engaged through movies, through books, through things, I've written a book, and whatever, all these other things, we want to try and make sure that cancer patient voices are heard through whatever medium they choose. So
great. Well, thank you. You guys are really insightful on my work, by the way. I'm impressed. You guys brought up stuff that other people have not, and I was pretty blown away. You guys got a lot of insight.
We've been there.
We've heard that from before from other artists, actually, visual artists.
Yeah.
You should hear us talk about books and movies. So you should join.